Let me start by thanking you. Thanking all of you, not just for your applause, but for your support, for your hard work, for your friendship, and for your commitment. Volunteers, members, MEPs, members of Parliament, and councillors. And you know, the greatest tribute we can all pay to the tireless work of our councillors, and of course to the achievements of London's Olympic-winning Mayor Ken Livingstone, is to work every day to secure their election on May the 1st. I know these last few months haven't been the easiest. Just as I took up my new job, we were hit by the worst floods for a century. And I remember a civil servant saying to me, "At least you don't have foot and mouth to deal with." And then when we had foot and mouth, someone said to me, "At least you don't have avian flu." And then after avian flu and blue tongue, I heard someone say, "Well, at least there hasn't been a global credit crunch." Well, nobody ever said it would be easy. But the important point, as we can now all see, through climate change, global terror, new epidemics, and the credit crisis that jumped the Atlantic, is that there are huge global forces reaching around the world and making their presence felt in every part of all of our lives. And over the last 8 months, what has taught me the most has not been the briefings I've had in my office, but the stories people have told me and shared with me in their workplaces, in their living rooms, and in their community centres. And you know, I've heard the worries. Worries about jobs going overseas, worries about the sort of jobs our kids will get when they grow up, and about how our communities are changing, and how the British way of life is under pressure. But you know, a few months ago, when I visited the Mini car plant near here at Hams Hall, I met a group of technicians who explained to me how, in the face of competition from all over the world, they were now at the cutting edge of new manufacturing technology. They were telling me that every single Mini that they produced, its colour, its electronics, its upholstery, can now be tailored to the specifications of each and every individual customer, and that their car business here in the West Midlands is now so successful that engine manufacturing is coming back here from Brazil to Britain and to Birmingham, and I applaud what they're doing. And let us applaud also today's announcement of the biggest ever order placed by America in Europe, benefiting British jobs in Wales and in England. And this confirms my fundamental optimism for our country and its future. You know, there are now thousands of people doing jobs our parents' generation had never heard of. Social entrepreneurs, website designers, software engineers. We all now shop in supermarkets stocked with food that is being flown in every day from all around the world. And of course, the technologies all of us use every day have been transformed. 10 years ago, only 1 in 6 of us had mobile phones, and they were as big as my hand, or you might say my big clunking fist. Now people update Facebook on the bus, call relatives on Skype, and share their holiday videos on YouTube. And today I want to confirm my profound optimism about what Britain can achieve in the future. To say that these global changes, while they do bring insecurities, also herald for us the greatest of opportunities. And that these forces, if properly harnessed by a powerful and progressive government, purposeful and progressive, can mean that Britain will not only survive but thrive and prosper under a Labour government in the years ahead. You know, each generation is summoned to create the kind of country that reflects the best of its values. I think you know what I believe in, that it's possible to create a society where what matters most is not where you come from, but what you have it in yourself to become. And my guiding belief is that everyone has a talent, and everyone should have the opportunity to develop and use that talent. And I'd like to explain to you today why what has always been my conviction is now, I believe, also the only future for our country. You see, the global economy will double in size over the next 25 years. There will be an extra 1 billion skilled jobs. Global competition will increasingly not be a race to the bottom, competing on low pay, but it will become a race to the top, competing on high skills. And the countries that will succeed and the countries that will win the good jobs will be the countries that do most to bring out the best in their people and their potential. And you know, for us, that is an unprecedented opportunity that we as a nation are uniquely well-placed to seize. And why is that the case? Because in Britain, with our international reach, our flexibility, our openness, our scientific creativity, our stability, our English language, now the language of the world, our successful membership of the European Union, our long-term investments we're making in energy and infrastructure, we have already built the foundations for future success. And the prize of a new prosperity, of not just full employment, but full and fulfilling employment, is so nearly within our grasp. But it can only be secured with a leap of imagination in how we as a country and a government think about the potential of everyone. Just think of the old Britain. In the old Britain, there was a view that only a minority needed the best education and the best skills. There was a view that was only a limited amount of room at the top. But today, with so many skilled jobs which are ours for the taking, those old assumptions can be buried forever. We are the first generation to be able to say that there need be no limit on how far your talent can take you. No cap in Britain about what you can do with your potential. No ceiling on how many of us can fulfill our dreams. So today, the best instincts of our party, the drive for social justice, and the best interests of our country, the need to spread opportunity, converge together as never before. The old way was just to provide a safety net below which nobody could fall. The new way, in this new age of rising ambition, is to provide a platform from which every individual can rise. And this is the new common purpose that our generation can forge together. A new meritocracy, a new upward social mobility, that instead of unlocking some of the talents of some of our people, we must in this generation unlock all the talents of all our people. And you know, to forge this common purpose, we must create, in this generation, a new economic policy to reward talents, creativity, and skills, a new social and welfare policy of rights and responsibilities that equips people to master change instead of letting change master them, a program of new education reforms that for trust, specialist, and academy schools focuses on excellence for all, a new politics that places power and opportunity to change things directly in the hands of people themselves, and the new personalized public services tailored to meet our needs and our choices so that we can live the lives we choose with a pace of reform stepped up, not slowed down. So a new program of policies that year on year will meet the challenges of global change by ensuring opportunity and security not just for some, but for all who play by the rules. That's what I mean by fairness to hard-working families. Now, the opportunity for all we seek must start at birth by giving all young children the best springboard from which to soar. So we will now go on to create for every single community in England and Wales children's centres, and there will be 3,500 by 2010. Over the next decade, we will rebuild or refurbish not just some of our secondary schools, but all our secondary schools. And why should just 10% of children who whose parents pay for their education have one-to-one tuition. For all who need it, we will extend this one-to-one tuition from private schools to all schools, and we will offer... And by 2010, we will be offering 300,000 pupils one-to-one tuition in English and 300,000 one-to-one tuition in maths. Now that's what Labour values in action look like, using the power of opportunity and the opportunity of power to help people move forward. And let's us equip every young person for the global economy. So we will give a guarantee for every teenager who qualifies, the right that we should have given years ago, the right of every qualified young person to an apprenticeship in this country. And to meet that same global challenge, for the first time, we will give every adult who missed out first time, a second chance, the right, whatever your age or background, to learn basic skills at any age, free of charge. And let's be clear where the stakes are highest. Child poverty is a scar that demeans Britain. When we allow just one life to be degraded or derailed by early poverty, it represents a cost that can never be fully counted. What difference could that child have made? What song will not be written? What flourishing business will not be founded? What classroom will miss out on a teacher who can awaken aspiration? Because just one child's life wasted haunts us with the thought of what might have been. So this government must end child poverty in this generation. And in the next few weeks, we will move further towards our goal. And you know, because good health gives us the chance to make the most of our lives, we will move ahead with radical reforms to create a 21st century NHS, personal to all your needs. And the best way to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the NHS is to give all patients what 10% in the private sector can buy. The guarantee that the time you have to wait for a hospital appointment will be the shortest since the National Health Service was established. To promise that by next year, at least half our GP surgeries will be open for at least one evening session or every weekend. And to promise to remove the anxieties of patients fearing cancer or disease by starting to do what the private sector charges for but which we can do free of charge, regular checkups, and every year increasing the number of cancer screenings, rising over 4 years to 7 million a year, 7 million anxieties relieved. And because everyone deserves the dignity they should have in retirement, let me repeat today again that we will link pensions once again, not to prices, but to earnings. And the next task ahead is to provide a range of social care services tailored to elderly people's needs, provided direct to people where they want them. And this summer, when our Carers Commission reports and we review the care of the disabled, we will offer new entitlements to the 6 million dedicated carers who serve Britain so well. Creating and sustaining a strong economy will always be our starting point, so that everyone can plan safely for the future. So let us also be proud that this month, in the 11th year of a new Labour government, Alistair Darling has been able to announce that Britain has more men and women in work than at any time in the history of our country. And let's just remember what the Conservatives said. They said a minimum wage would cost us 2 million jobs. But we have created a minimum wage, raised that minimum wage every year, and at the same time, we have created 3 million jobs. And you know, my pledge to the British people is that at all times we will seek to keep inflation and mortgage rates low and ensure stability. And with our programme for 3 million more homes, thousands of them in new eco-towns, we will enable thousands more young people to buy an affordable home of their own. And we will insist that all who can work must work, in fairness to all of us who do work. And between now and 2010, we will give people new hope by helping another 100,000 men and women move from welfare into work. And because, like you, I too worry about workers left vulnerable, women denied equality in the workplace, and agency workers denied fair treatment, we will honour our promise to stop good employers being undercut by the bad. We promote dignity and fairness for all in the workplace. Security for all means not just more secure jobs, but communities that are safer places to live. And this government has already cut crime by 32%. But we know that what people want is visible local policing in their neighbourhoods and communities. So in 2 months' time, every community in England, as a result of money that has been made available, will have its own dedicated neighbourhood police team patrolling the streets, contactable by mobile phone, in touch with local people, making policing a reality in the areas, in the communities, and in the neighbourhoods in which people live. And we will move ahead with our new deal for earned citizenship. We will welcome those who make a contribution to our country, but we will insist that all learn English, uphold British values, and play by the rules. And let's leave people in no doubt we are taking all necessary steps for security against terrorism. And let me thank our police and our armed forces for the contribution they make, our armed forces in Iraq, Afghanistan, and around the world. And let us thank them for the continued dedication they show to keeping us all safe and secure. So from welfare to crime, from health to education, from housing to the environment, this is our common purpose, our agenda for change, our ambition for this new age, the new Labour promise of opportunity and security, not just for some, but for all. And because your concerns are my passions and my personal priorities, I promise I will work tirelessly to deliver these for you. And let's work not just to make Britain fairer, but to bring more justice in the world. When yesterday 72 million primary-aged children did not go to school because there was no school to go to and no teacher to teach them, we cannot anymore stand by and do nothing. And tomorrow on Mother's Day, let us remember that in some countries around the world, 1 mother in every 7 will die giving birth to her baby. We can't turn our heads and pretend we don't know. These are truths too shameful to ignore. They call us not just to mourning, but they call us to action. So let me set 2 simple objectives for the coming years. Our first aim is nothing less than that every child in every continent, in every part of the world, can go to school, that there is education for all children. And our ambition that we are working to with other countries and through the European Union over the course of this year is nothing less than to end the avoidable suffering of 10 million people dying unnecessarily every year from diseases we know we can cure. So we will work with other countries tirelessly to eradicate from the face of this earth tuberculosis, polio, diphtheria, and yes, malaria too. And I say today as a government, we will not rest until we bring hope to the bleakest corners of the world. So we will continue to work with our European colleagues to bring justice to the people of Darfur. And today I say we are prepared to extend sanctions so that the fly zones in Sudan, so that the bombing of people in Sudan comes to an end. And let me also say that in Burma, we will fight for democracy and we will fight for the release of Aung San Suu Kyi from house arrest. That is the beginning of democracy for that country. And to shoulder the responsibilities we all share for our planet, a few weeks from now, we will be the first government in the world to pass a law that sets legally binding limits on our emissions. And that is a historic step, but it is only the first step in our ambition to lead the world by example in triumphing over climate change. Now the question is, which party in this fast-changing world will make it possible, not just for some people, but for all of us to benefit from the new opportunities before us? So let me just explain why only the Labour Party has the seriousness of purpose, the hunger for change, the passion for spreading opportunity, the mission of justice for all that can meet the rising ambitions of this new age. Why? Because the Conservative Party have already confessed to £10 billion worth of tax cuts that we can demonstrate beyond doubt disproportionately favour the wealthiest in our society. And while we as New Labour will always get the balance right between public service investment, affordable tax cuts and economic stability, this week the country has learnt the truth from the Conservative front bench that their billions of pounds of tax cuts will be paid for by billions of cuts in public services, in the vital public services on which we depend. And don't just listen to what they say. I say, look at what they do. I don't need to tell anyone here that round the country, Tory councils and Tory councillors are cutting the very services upon which we depend. And this is the difference between the parties. At the very time we need to meet the challenges of change, and we need in our country more opportunity for people, not less, we will deliver educational maintenance allowances so 250,000 teenagers can stay on at school. The Conservatives will cut them. We will double apprenticeships, even when the Conservatives oppose them. We will provide free education to 18. The Conservatives don't support it. We want half of young people to have the chance to go to university. The Conservatives believe more means worth. In truth, it's photo opportunities for themselves that the Conservatives seek. It's opportunity for all that the Labour Party seeks. And why am I determined? Why am I so determined that more people have more opportunities? I'm determined because I've seen the power of opportunity to change lives. I know that for me, the power of opportunity has changed my life. Because people before me decided education should be free for every child, I, like many of you here, had the best of education in my local primary and secondary school, so close to my home I could walk to it or take the bus there every day. And the best education and the best teaching I had myself, and I want for my children. I want to be there on offer for every child in every school in Britain. And I can only see your faces today, because after a rugby accident, Labour's National Health Service saved my sight with treatment my parents could never have paid for. Because people I had never met, names of people I don't even know, they pooled their resources in their generation to provide services to be used by everyone, regardless of their ability to pay. And so the best healthcare I received, and I want for my children, I want for every family in every part of Britain. So I'm only standing here today because a previous generation fought for education for all, demanded an NHS for all, dared to stand up for a common purpose, opportunity for all, and in their generation unleashed the power of opportunity to change lives. So generations don't just have fashions and soundtracks and icons. The generations that history remembers have ideals that inspire them to action. They have dreams that drive them forward. And people don't just write great new chapters of history if they stand frozen or fearful in time and place. They write great chapters of history when they come together in common purpose, emboldened by hope. And now it is our turn, the turn of our generation. And what will we be remembered for? I want our children and their children to say that in the first decades of the 21st century, there lived a generation that built a Britain where the talent you had mattered more than the titles you held. Imagine if together we built a Britain where what counts is not how high up you start, but how high you can reach. Imagine if together we can build a Britain where every parent of every child born today can watch them as they sleep and dare to believe that nothing is beyond them realizing their potential. Imagine if together we create a Britain where for all of us, the future is not a fate we can't escape, but a common purpose we create together. This Britain of security and opportunity for all is within our grasp. So with the courage of our convictions, with pride in our common purpose, let us go out with confidence. Let us go out with confidence to meet the world to come. Let us embrace this new age of ambition. Let us build the Britain of our dreams. Yeah.